Hey everybody, welcome to the Soulful Eclectic. I am your host, Diana Collins, and I want to welcome you back to today's episode. If you are new listening to us, I want to say thank you for taking the time out to listen and be a part of the show. If you are returning, I want to say thank you, and welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I appreciate you so much for taking the time out to spend with us and listen to what we have to say. And also for those of you who have reached out and told me that you looked at the products, tried the products that Divine Nubian Essential sells, I want to say thank you because that means so much to me that you're supporting small businesses, small women, veteran-owned businesses, as well as Black-owned businesses. So I want to thank you for that. Also, I want to thank Unapologetically Beast for being one of our esteemed sponsors, and also Kingdom Restoration for helping keeping us mind, body, and soul at one accord. So I want to thank you all for being a part of the Soulful Eclectic family and being part of our supporting team. So with that, I want to go into finishing our last part of our conversation with Chris Studenka. It was like a 2-hour conversation, and I actually cut some of it because we had so much that we had talked about. So the first part you guys listened to, and that was, us just reconnecting, as that's what I call the first part of any conversation that I've had with friends that I haven't seen in a couple of months or anything like that, because we've all been busy with different projects and things like that. So as I say, like reconnecting, that first hour, 45 minutes, whatever, is just us reconnecting to each other and doing a really quick catch up of where you've been. So now we're going to talk about actually dive deeper into where Chris has been as far as where Father's Day has taken him, and now he is upon the journey of Run Rabbit. So with Run Rabbit, you guys literally just finished taping and putting it out there, and now you're on the film circuit.
So our film was done for a day, but he couldn't. But when we were there with Father's Day the year before, we were making Run Rabbit and had a trailer, and we shared that with him. We said, "Oh my God, when you guys finish that, you have to submit it to our festival." So he'd been waiting for it.
Gotcha.
So the second he got it, he was like, "You win."
Yeah, you already set the.
So our film was done for a day, and we were already a festival winner, But it only happens because of the groundwork we laid over previous year.
Right.
And me staying in contact with them and sharing them the trailer when it was done and telling them that. Is that a lot of work? Yes. It's juggling a lot of balls and keeping track of these spreadsheets I have that drive everybody else crazy. But
oh my gosh,
that's how it happens.
Guy.
That's how I keep track. Hey, whatever works for you. But that way we can get in these fests in a day. They see it like, oh, I can't wait for that. The guy watched it. As soon as we sent it to him, he watched it. I mean, sometimes you don't even know if they watch it.
Exactly.
And sometimes they don't. That's the other thing. People say, oh, I'll submit to the festival and they'll let me know. Well, do you even know if they watched it?
Right.
You don't know. They don't. Because think about it logically. Some of these will get 1,000, 3,000 films.
True.
How much time do you think that would take you to watch? If you're a judge at a film festival,
absolutely,
and there's 1,000 films, how much time, will that take you to go through 1,000 films? And then tell me when you're watching 500 and film 575 that you're really paying attention, really into it.
Right.
Because you're sick and tired of watching movies at that point.
Exactly.
So you don't know, there's no guarantee that they're going to watch anything.
Nope.
And so it's up to you to put your best foot forward and follow up and stay in touch. And so it's just, it all goes back to it's work.
I was just thinking that. I was like, it's work. It's
not rocket science. It's just work. But I think a lot of people, well, I'm an artist. Okay. How do you get someone to buy your painting if you're an artist? You got to sell it.
Exactly.
Otherwise, go sit on a street corner. You'll sell it for $5 if you're lucky. But you want to do more than that, you have to have a business acumen.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to like that part of it.
Right.
What you get to like to do is create whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
Then if you want to do more with it, you got to either get somebody to help you or you got to do some selling on your own.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done. It's been a lot of selling. And so it sounds like oh, it's so simple. You got festivals
No.
and then they bought it. Well, yes, on paper, sure, it
Sure.
might sound that way. But it's like the tip of the iceberg. You see that much above the surface.
Exactly.
And then,
You know,
below the
the
surface,
surface,
the
all the stuff
iceberg
that
goes
took
down
place.
10,000 feet and is 50 miles wide. And you just see the little tip on the top. It's like, oh, that looks so pretty.
Exactly.
But that's what it is. There's no shortcut for work. And
No.
I think in this industry, and I learned that because that's why I thought in LA, gosh, everyone's going to be better and hyper active and sensitive. And it's all the same nonsense everywhere where people, I'm an artist. Okay. Well,
Okay.
how's that working for you?
Right.
Nobody's just going to discover you. That happens to 1 out of a billion people.
Right.
And
Everyone
it doesn't
thinks-
last if you haven't done much with it anyways.
Exactly.
Or at that point, take it and go forward with it.
Mm-hmm.
You might get lucky to be discovered, but then what? That's not
true.
the end of it. It's the end of it if you don't do more with it.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like my journey. I got in some commercials and movies, and all of a sudden I was like, well, somehow I keep getting picked for this stuff. I either need to go for it or just like keep it as a low-level hobby that whatever. And I chose to go for it. I studied like crazy. I'll put my study up against anybody. I'll put my hard work up against anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean I'm better. It just means
Right. You put the work in
I
for it.
studied like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I took every stupid role that I had. I took it like it was an Oscar-winning role. I came prepared. I was there early. I was on time. I helped. I'd say,
Right.
do you need?
need something?
Well,
You
yeah.
want
And
this?
here's
You
the
want me to do
crazy
this?
part, Diana. Every single project I've been a part of, I was like, hey, if you need help when it's done, I know how to promote it. I know how to. No one's ever taken me up on it. Not a one.
Jeez. Wow.
And that's okay. I'm hired as an actor. I don't need to do anything else. But you better do something with it.
Exactly.
And then I'm going to be frustrated.
Yeah.
And that's nobody ever takes me up on it, or they think they do. They'll call me and think, "Oh, maybe we ought to get in festivals." You know how that works. Okay, well, what exactly? What's your plan?
What's your plan?
Well, I don't know. What do you think? No, it's your film. Tell me what you want to do, and I'll help guide us there.
Right.
Get us there. Well,
No, you want me to do that work for you. No, you have to come with something.
Something. Yes.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what kills me is that no one comes with anything. They think, okay, you say you can do this, now here, do it. Okay, no, but what do you want to do with it? Where do you see yourself? Where are you trying to build this to?
Yeah.
And we all have great ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and we all have to work to cultivate them. Like we were talking about the podcast, it's work. I can't, it's stuff that you got to do every day
Yes.
for it, and you're constantly thinking, you're constantly creating, and that's why I don't have a YouTube channel because I can't, because again, my passion is my acting.
Right.
You put the work in, I've been putting the work in, and as you said, when you show up, you show up. And
Yes. 100%.
100%.
Every time.
I don't, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're so good. I was like, but why do you, we all should be.
Right. You're in this too. Don't you want to be good?
Right.
What are you doing about it?
And it just
Yeah.
boggles my mind.
Mine too. That's why I think we've always gotten along, because we come at it from that point of view. If I'm taking my time to be here, I want it to be good. You should as well.
Right.
You should as well.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not about putting out shit.
Yeah. Not if I can. If I
Not
can
if I can
control
help- if I can
or have
control
any say
it.
in it. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So, and I know we've been in some crappy projects.
No, I've been in horrible ones.
Horrible. But it's I think it's gratifying to hear that when other people do see those not so stellar projects, that they point out that you stood out.
Yeah. I know, and even I won't even name the names, but I've done some terrible films,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't promote them. But I'm not ashamed of my part in it,
No.
because I know I did as good as I could.
No.
The setting wasn't great, but it's not, because I did this movie, and if
it
I
just,
say too much, it'll.
yes,
I don't know,
but it's just
and someone's like, "Well, you never talk about that." Right.
right.
But I'm not ashamed of it. It's on Amazon. If you see it, you'll be disappointed. But I'm not disappointed in my performance. And I had a prominent role. I'm not disappointed.
It's
All the other factors were not great. And,
right.
And you get too many directors around here that will cut the corners or slack just to get it done. And that's something we didn't do with Rabbit. So like Father's Day was much easier, but with Run Rabbit, we had so many people, and we needed certain people, and if they couldn't act, we had some people that wanted to be in it, and we didn't want them, and then people that turned it down. And we had a hard time casting a couple of roles, and we were going to film in March and in the spring.
Okay.
And we didn't have a couple of the roles filled until June.
Wow.
So we just delayed. But I've been on 100 other projects that would just find somebody else and go do it, and it ruins it.
It does. It does. And
we never compromised. That was our collective rule, the three of us, Justin, Greg, and I. Like, we're never going to compromise. And if somebody comes and is in it and we don't like them, they're out, and we're going to wait and get the right person. We're not going to compromise on anything. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. And what that entailed, we have a lot of these scenes out in the desert. Okay, well, all of a sudden we're not filming in March. We're filming those desert scenes in July.
Stay hydrated.
It's 115 degrees out there. We're out there all day.
Hydrate. Let's go.
That was not fun.
No.
It was difficult work. It wasn't what it was meant to be. It was meant to be done in the spring. We didn't have the right people at that time.
Right.
And it's better to have the right people than anything else.
Absolutely.
That's my point.
No.
People can disagree, but I've been on too many where like, well, so-and-so couldn't come, so we got my brother. It's like, was your brother an actor? No, but he can do it. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, now I know where this project's going. Right into the toilet. And I'll still give my 100%, but I just already know it's going to be terrible.
And that's hard. And you, as you said, you don't discredit your part in it, but you don't support it.
No, you're right.
So,
but I don't go on social media and disgrace it or anything. I just don't do anything.
You don't just do it. You just don't do anything.
I'm bad-mouthing it now, but nobody knows what I'm talking about.
But
go to my IMDb, you'll figure it out.
Right. Nobody knows what you're talking about, but but yes, I do understand that, and I that resonates with me heavily because it's just it.
Yes.
Right.
Especially when it's a part you want to do, because we don't always get to do great parts, and so I did a movie and the part was great. The script was great. There's another part of it. Script to screen is a completely different animal. A script can be awesome, but then how are they shooting it? It can go right down the drain in a hurry.
Right.
And I was in this film, and I had a great part, one of the lead parts, and the script was great. And in my mind, I'm like, boy, how are they really going to be able to shoot this? And the answer was they couldn't. And so everything was cut. And it was basically like, write the greatest story you want on paper, and they did. And I was like, oh, well, we don't have burning warehouses and planes that we can crash into a mountain. I was like, yeah, well, I kind of wondered how you're going to do that.
Yeah.
No, we're just going to cut all that out. Oh, well, great.
Great.
Well, this is going to be awesome then. And then you're disappointed because it was on paper, it was a role. I was like, wow, I was kind of excited to play it. And then all of a sudden on day one, I realized, oh, this is just going to be terrible.
Yeah.
And I still put forth all my effort.
As
had a number of days, always made myself available.
Right.
But I just knew it wasn't going to be very good, and it wasn't. Guess what? It wasn't.
Well.
Hence, we're trying to do our own thing, make something that we think is good. And,
that is good because
here's the thing, too. It's a funny thing. So we've submitted to tons of festivals with Run Rabbit.
Right.
It didn't get in plenty of them, but it did get in a lot of them, and it played in Prague and Berlin and Hungary and Stockholm a couple times and Mexico, and then it played in like Tucson and Arizona and all over Hollywood and Orlando. It's playing in Ohio, played in New Jersey.
Wow.
So, but I mean, and I'm not just saying that as to brag. I'm just saying,
right.
Think of that cross section. We've just covered the entire United States,
right,
and all parts of Europe, from end to end almost.
Right.
There's nothing cohesive about all that. So if all of those people like the film,
right,
it's not regional, it's not local,
nope.
There's nothing specific to think, oh yeah, because you talk about Illinois, that everyone in Chicago loves it. No. All of those cities across the country, across the nation, Canada too, and it won awards. It's won any number of best feature film at festivals.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing holding that together.
Right.
And that's how I know. And right out of the gate, that was part of my strategy, is I wanted to get into festivals with a cross section to see, did we have something, or is it something that only people in Northern Europe are going to like for whatever weird reason. But it's everywhere. And then we knew, okay, now we know. It's still, everybody's not going to like it.
Right.
But there's a cross-section that proves it's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's like any film that's at the theater right now. Like, I don't like Marvel movies. They make billions of dollars every day. They're just simplistic, and I'm more story-driven, personal.
Right.
I don't like it. That's making $1 billion. So we know people aren't going to like our film.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. But the cross-section proves that it has an audience. That's what we were trying to prove. Because, like a TV show, some people hate it, some people love it. But it's got a broad audience. That's why it's still on. Mm-hmm. And that's what we were trying to prove, rather than... Because we've played in some festivals, like in Arizona and such, with Father's Day, too. And it's like, oh, it's Arizona, so it's great.
No, not really.
No, most of these films you took from Arizona are terrible. Just because they're made here doesn't make them any good.
Maybe in some of them.
I'm in some of them too. I'm in some of these festivals with Run Rabbit and Father's Day, and I had another film in the festival, and I did sort of ignored that at the same time.
Right.
So that's what we're really trying to prove. Like, do we have a legitimate audience? And Kevin Smith really was the through line for that. I mean, because that's a proven director that's in New Jersey, not even L.A.
Right.
But it's made, obviously, tons of stuff in L.A., and he selected our film. And then we're like, all right.
Yeah,
then,
you got something.
We already played all over, but, like, there's a legitimate industry person that's saying, yeah.
Yeah.
So we thought so, but, this business is nuts. And for every "you're awesome," 9 of those are people just saying it.
Exactly.
People are full of hot air. So you don't always know what's true or right or what you want to believe. And you can get caught up in it when you first start off. Everybody's like, oh, I want you to be in my next project, and I want you to do this.
Yeah.
And none of that ever happens. But you get excited when you're new, thinking it's going to. And
yeah, we all fell victim to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we do now, even with a good film. People are like, oh, well, you need to make our next one. I go, okay. Yeah. I always say, sure, I know. Now I know I'm never going to hear from you again. For the most part. But the one or two that do, like, there you go.
Yeah.
Like the festival director contacted me and had me come out to LA this weekend. I mean, that's, those things will happen. They're just 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
Every 10 people that say it, 1 positive will be real. And
for every no, that's your next opportunity, right?
Yeah. So, but it's been a lot of fun, and it was a tremendous amount of work because there was 3 of us, and even since it's been done, I mean, it's just as much work on the festival side of it to make all that happen. And, so it's a mental strain as well. You have to compartmentalize all of that because you get as well as we've done, you get a lot of rejections.
Oh, absolutely.
And some of them, I'm like, I get angry. Like, how in the world do they not want to film it? It gets me all angry, and then I have to learn how to deal with that on a regular basis. That for every yes I get, we get like a no. And it's like, oh,
right.
You should like it.
Everybody likes it. They like it. You should like it.
Right.
Talk to your friends.
Yes. So it's still a roller coaster of emotions and dealing with that. Not being able to do as much other stuff because I was so busy on this one project.
Yes, I was going to ask.
Limited my ability. I did some other things. I did a short film that won a bunch of awards. And,
okay.
I think it's still playing. Communication's been terrible on that one, so I don't exactly know.
Okay.
And did some commercials, and I feel like I'm forgetting something, but couldn't do as much, obviously, because I was very tied up with Run Rabbit and wanted to be. That was a choice.
Right.
And I didn't even audition for stuff unless I could. Now I have a much better eye when I even look at call sheets and audition sheets. Like, they're never going to. I know who they are. They're never going to make anything happen. So I didn't even audition for stuff unless I knew
that it was actually viable.
Like, oh, that's something I'd want to do, and I think they'll actually make it happen.
Right.
So, because I think what I've learned too, like as much as I guess I'm a good producer because I produce this. So I have a skill for that, I guess, but I like to act. Mm-hmm. And I guess I like to act in more stuff.
Right.
And as much as I love Run Rabbit, and it was awesome to make as an actor, too. Mm-hmm. But we were done filming last fall,
And now you're like waiting.
Yeah. And I guess I would like to act more.
Yeah.
When I was too busy, I couldn't do it.
Well, that makes sense.
So, I would like to keep doing. We have other stuff going on right now, so.
Okay.
But all of that, yeah. So you started this question like, what's been going on? There you go.
There you go.
Like an hour later.
Okay, so how is that balance, though? You know, you've been manifesting all this greatness. Now, how's that balancing out with your personal life?
Well, that's a big challenge. That is a tremendous challenge. Probably not well, but
Okay.
I knew that. I would say I put
Right.
all my focus on Run Rabbit,
Mm-hmm.
knowing I had none for almost everything else.
Gotcha.
So, so that I wasn't feeling pushed and pulled,
Mm-hmm.
but it was isolating and solitary, and made me wonder, was it all worth it? You go through that all the time as an
Right.
actor, and even though our movie is done well, you're like, God, so what, right? What does that mean?
Right.
Where am I? You know, what is it good for me? And because really, with every movie, it's once it's done, it's done. How does that get you to the next one?
Mm-hmm.
You're always in limbo. Because even look at the best actor. Tom Hanks has done how many great movies? He's still making them
Yeah.
because Forrest Gump was 30 years ago.
Right.
You know, and he's made other good ones since. But it's like you're always on the hoping one will get you to the next one.
True.
And as an independent, you almost need it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Tom Hanks can choose to do what he wants, but he's got a lot of opportunities. But he's still looking for that next big one.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, and we're just looking for the next one.
Yeah. Exactly. And so I put sort of a lot of my personal life on hold
Okay.
because I knew I would have to
Mm-hmm.
if we were going to do this.
Yes, that it does. It does make it for a very lonely existence. So that's why I was curious as to how you were juggling that. And if it is even on your radar.
You know, I think it is. I think, well, it is. I don't think it is. But I know, like, for myself, like, I really wanted to make this movie. Father's Day was one, like, can I do it? And we did it. And then it's like, well, can we make a feature? And we've done it. And I wanted to give myself as an actor, because I'm older, I mean, I don't have 50 years I'm not trying to make a go of it, but, like, what can I really do with it? And I'm on a window.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to get these kind of things going to see, well, can I do anything with it? And so I put all my time and effort into that. But certainly I was married for years. I'd like to be married again at some point in time. And, you know, it's interesting. I found it very interesting. I thought, you know, when I first started acting, which is, I guess, been about 6 or 7 years now, and that's all. Did commercials right away, and the modeling and stuff. And I thought that women would be like interested in that,
Right.
and find it interesting or exciting. None of them have, to a person. They all might think it's like interesting for a moment, but that's it. You know, they don't care. I thought, well, you know, just think it's kind of exciting. Like, I'm not trying to gloat. I just like, it's kind of neat.
It is
like,
neat.
No, I mean, I guess whoever I'm choosing is just like, yeah, well, yeah, that was nice, and that's about it. Like, they're not impressed one bit,
You know what?
not the least.
You know, I think it
Maybe
goes,
sort of intrigued, but not impressed at all.
right. It's more of
So.
an intrigue. Oh, so how's that going for you?
Yeah. Well, what have I seen yet? I don't see you on
Right,
TV.
exactly.
Well, okay. Never mind.
Exactly. if you're not in the now, in the know, in the mainstream of things, it's like, I haven't seen you.
Right.
You sure?
Yes.
Tell me something you've been in. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. Never mind.
Yeah. So I almost like, you know, a lot of women I've met over the years, these last few years, I don't even mention it. Because I just wait to see if any relationship is going to come out of it. Then I'll share it, almost like a secret, I guess. But like, because I used to think, well, I'll lead with that. It doesn't
No.
make any bit of difference in my life. It has made no difference. So, shockingly, it means nothing. But that's not why I do it. I mean, I
Right.
do it because I love it, and I do love to act. I found that I like it. I like playing those roles that are in some way crazy because I like to think I'm not, and I was like, how can I get in that mindset and then make it seem real? Because
Yes.
because you see a lot of people overact.
Mhm.
You see a lot of people, especially to me, if you see somebody that's playing drunk, they way overacted drunk. They're falling all over and stumbling and yelling. It's like, well, if
Yes.
you've ever really been around a drunk, that might be out on old town streets on a Saturday night, but not a regular
Not a
at home.
regular.
People aren't that sloppy and that
No.
boisterous. They might yell, but not so slurry.
Right.
Half the time, it's more in their eyes. You can tell they're drunk
Exactly.
rather than, they're yelling or they're
Yes.
slurring.
Yes.
You see people overacting all the time.
I have to
And-
agree.
Yeah, and so I like to play characters. I don't drink at all. I've never done drugs, and so I'm pretty straight arrow. But I've played a drug addict and I've played an alcoholic,
But I think that's
and I like to study those
I
characters
was
to
gonna
see
say-
how can I do it, and then have people believe it.
yes, and
Yeah.
that is what makes you an actor.
I think so. I mean, for me, that's what the most
I-
enjoyable part of it. I've played a pedophile. I've played an abusive father. I've played a drug addict, like I
You're a
said.
stepfather, right?
Yeah, I played a lot of really dark stuff that I'm the antithesis of, and tried to bring it to life. But how I've done it, hard work,
Mm-hmm.
studying characters, watching other films, watching documentaries. It's fortunate to do a film at Universal Studios where I played a drug addicted father. He
Oh.
kept falling on and off the wagon.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter was like 20, let's say, or something. All the scenes were emotional where she would keep finding me falling off the wagon, and then the next day we'd be at the Six Flags and having a great time, and then
Right.
she'd come over a week later and find me passed out at home with needles in my arm.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, well, how do I do that? Like, thank God I don't know anything about it, right? But
Right.
I want it to come off real.
Right.
And also act. So it's like there's a physical manifestation you have to put on to be a role like that, as well as know your lines,
Mm-hmm.
the emotional part. So, but all I did was I worked, but I wanted it to be real. So instead of watching movies, there's a show called Intervention on TV,
Yes.
and I've watched that. Thousands of those episodes, which is a lot of drug addicts, some alcoholics, but
It's
a
more
lot.
drugs.
And you watch those people, and they're rolling around, and they're laying around, and they're not wildly
No.
gesticulating, and so that to me, that's how I wanted to do those roles, because that's more. First off, that is real, because those
It's
are
real.
real people,
Mm-hmm.
and they're following around with the camera to
Exactly.
see it. So it's real. I said, well, that's real.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on a stage. Sometimes on a stage you have to be extra dramatic to play to the 40th row, but in a film you don't need to be. And so that's how I like to play those,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I've done. But it just comes through study and then practice. Oh my goodness, I would
Go
practice.
figure.
Even if we didn't have a rehearsal, I'd practice on
You
my own.
practice on your
I
own.
would, I'd study mannerisms of people, and
Yeah.
it's just
It's work, but
Yeah.
it's when you enjoy it, it seems less like
that
work.
was fun to me. Like, could I do that and then
Yes.
be convincing? Because thankfully I don't know anything about that, but could people watch that and then be convinced that, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fun part of acting.
Yeah.
I like to do all types of roles. When I first started off, I was always like the same person. I was like, well, I want to just, maybe I can do something else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could, but I wanted to just see if I could. But it just took a lot of study, and still study, and still work at it. It's not, it doesn't end.
No,
You
just
know?
because you have the job doesn't mean your studying ends,
Yeah,
right?
it shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it gets lost for a lot of people. Like, oh, I got the role. Okay, so now what are you
Now
doing?
you get to work.
Now you get to work. Now
Yeah.
you have to really put in that effort.
Yeah.
Are you doing your coaching?
Right.
Are you practicing? And how's the emotion? Because we can all deliver lines if we memorize and deliver lines.
Yeah.
It's the emotion behind that everyone is watching. Can you do that?
Yeah.
And I
What do you bring into it?
What
What do you think? Do they have a limp? Do they have a bad eye? Do they scratch their nose every time they're lying? Do they, you can come up with all that stuff on your own, but you can bring that depth to the character that's usually not written in it. But you
Exactly.
can bring that to it.
Yeah.
But that just takes work. You got to do it enough so that it's just part of you when you do it. But that's the fun. That's always been the fun of it for me. I'd like to explore those different types of characters and try to play them and bring them to life. And
I love that.
it's been a lot of fun.
I mean,
It's been a lot of fun.
that is fun. And I think that is too what I'm chasing. More the fun things that I'm normally not doing.
Right.
Like I just
It's more fun to play. Like, can I play a nice father? Okay. I don't have to study for that. I don't have to do a lot of work preparation.
Just like me, can I play a mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Right.
Can I play a doctor? Yeah, I can.
Exactly.
So it's okay. Can I do those other things? Like, I was so excited to get an audition for a feature film. It's a sci-fi movie.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched tons and tons of sci-fi. Love sci-fi. I was like, I want to be a witch. I just want to be like that forest living person because it's something that never crossed my mind.
Right.
It's a part 4 kind of movie, but I'm like, yeah, I like that. It's set in Utah.
Oh, there you go.
Like, who's the actor in it? Kevin Sorbo.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those kind of sci-fi movies. I was like, I'm in that. I'm into that. So that's my current manifestation.
Yeah.
That's mine.
Well, I think that helps you grow too. Like, some of these maybe I didn't do well or I didn't get the part, but just the act of studying that character to audition for it gave me different elements that might be valuable later on.
Yeah, and
I think the best thing that anybody can tell you into your performance, you seem so. That's just like you. It's like, yeah, I know that's not me. So I know that's good because you think that's how I am. Perfect.
Thanks.
Then you know it worked.
I did a great job then.
Because I had someone say, you always seem to play yourself. Like, perfect. Because you don't know me.
Right.
That is not me.
That's why it's like, I see you in these sinister movies. I was like, that is so not him. But he did an amazing job, but that is just so not him.
I think I'm blessed to that part of that. I have a face that can be bad or good. Mm-hmm. Some people just have a happy demeanor. You can never take them seriously as a darker character.
True.
Just on their look, or vice versa.
Uh-huh.
And I'm fortunate enough that I can sort of play both. My look can go either way. That helps me. I've seen that. I mean, I know I can. So I don't. But some people can't.
No.
A friend of mine that's a comedian. He could never. He's like, oh, and I've put him in Rabbit and other things, and he's like, I'd like to do more. And like, you can only play one thing with that permanent smile on your face. You can't change that. You're blessed with that.
That's
but
a great thing,
it isn't really going to.
Just doesn't fit everywhere.
Right. No one's going to buy you as anything else.
No.
Just is the way it is.
Let's keep you where you are.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of lucky in that regard.
Yeah.
And then I'm lucky too. I've told this to others. This Greg, like I said, Greg Waves, a good friend of mine. He's a younger guy in his 20s, and I get a lot of parts and stuff. And I said, well, think about it this way: in every film, virtually, there's an older guy. He could be the principal. He could be the cop.
Right.
He could be the grandfather or the father. But there's not always a 20-year-old guy.
That's true.
Depending on, because you're 25, you can't play a grandpa, you can't play the police chief, you can play the rookie cop.
Right.
But I can play all across the board at my age versus you.
Right.
So the roles might not be big and everything, but in everything there's a guy, a middle-aged guy.
That is
everything.
True. That
might
is
not
true.
have the biggest role, but he's there. He's the husband, where he talks a lot, or he's the backdrop. But there's the husband, or the dad, or the stepdad, or the principal, like I said, or the golf pro, or whatever, that a 20-year-old can't play. Because it's more of a look. You need somebody nobody's going to buy you as a grandfather at 25.
That's true.
So
That's true.
There's a little bit more opportunity, maybe not in great parts, but in parts in general.
Right.
And I was not afraid to take anything early on, just because I didn't know any better, but also I thought all the audition process was valuable for anything.
Oh,
and
I see
any
that.
on set was valuable because I was new, so I learned how different directors worked, and what's really nonsense, because at first you don't know, you think, well, is this how it really goes? This doesn't seem right. And then you do another one and think, oh yeah, they were just all idiots. But you don't know that.
But you don't know.
You just go on these sets and think, oh, this seems weird.
Right.
Do we always need to sit around for 12 hours? No. We don't need to. Somebody's got their stuff together. You don't.
No. No.
But you got to sort of learn all those things. I think it's valuable to learn all those things, and then put yourself in a position so you're not putting yourself in that position again.
Exactly. And every audition is a good audition because it got you in the room
Yes.
and got you seen.
Yes. Yes, because maybe for the next one.
Right.
You know, one of the best roles I ever did was a really horrible person. There was a short film called Anita, won a lot of awards. I played abusive father. I was auditioning for a different film for them. And they're like, oh, you know, I think I could have done that one too, but like, you know, we got this other film. We think you'd be perfect for it.
Oh, jeez.
So, all right.
All right. I'll take it.
And, but if I had to audition for the other one,
You wouldn't have got that
wouldn't
one.
have got that one. So sometimes that's how it goes. But
I think that's how it went for a lot of the ones that I've been in. Like, oh, you don't fit this one, but hey, could you go over here?
yeah,
And we can
but
do
you got to
this
get in the room to get that far.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to put yourself there.
Exactly.
And, all of those things.
And sometimes it's more than one time.
Yes. Yes.
And that's okay. And you know, because like you get those calls like, did you get the role? I'm like, yeah, don't know.
Yeah.
They probably went on and have done something else. Oh, and then you know you get the I'm sorry's and I'm like, no, don't be sorry. It was
And
great.
sometimes the nothing.
And then you get
That's
the
the
nothing. That's always the worst. But then you just, I think as actors we've grown to the know that every audition is great. It got us in a room. It's practice for the next one and the next
Yes.
one because
Yeah.
that no is leaving room for your next opportunity.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, we're sort of touching on a personal life. I just go back a little bit to the last time I was on your podcast. We talked, you talked a lot about my divorce,
Yes.
how that changed me. I was married for years. Well, I've now been divorced as of January, well, a couple of weeks ago, because it's only early February.
Yep.
10 years.
Wow.
And I was thinking of that the other day. It's like, wow, it's been 10 years. And that's a
10
whole
years.
decade.
Yeah.
Because I was married all years prior. So, but a whole decade. Now it's not just been a few years, or it's been a whole
It's
decade.
been a whole decade.
And that sort of hit me. It's like a marker of like a lot of time. Because for a few years it was hard, obviously. And then it lingers, but it's been a whole decade. And it's been an interesting decade, for sure, of my personal life, all over the place. But I know the depths of my divorce gave me far more ability to emote and just to be emotional in general, which I never was. I was just a straight up more type A, not really, but more type A male. I never cried and never showed a lot of emotion. I mean, that's how I was brought up. And I did pretty typical. Maybe not all the way to the top, but pretty typical. But then my divorce took me right off an edge. And I learned that it's okay to do all those things. And I think it's taken me a long time. All of these years, I look back now and say, well, I'm a long ways from where I was.
Yes.
And it's also been 10 years. So I have changed. I think I've got a much clearer perspective of what I want personally than I had
So you've
5
done
years
that.
ago.
You've done that needs assessment
A little
of
bit.
yourself,
I mean, yeah,
right?
I did that with a therapist, let's say, but on my own, thinking like, well, what do I really want? What do I want to do? How far do I want to push this? The acting, because that will inhibit, being married again potentially.
Potentially.
And because where am I putting my time and focus? Right?
Okay.
And I've had to think of, I haven't had to do it, I've thought of all those things over the years. Well, it's been 10 years. And, that's a marker too. And I survived it. I was always surviving it. And now I really feel removed from it. And that's a better feeling to be that far removed from all the pain and hurt of it.
Right.
And I guess there's no easier answer than it does take time.
It does.
As much as we hate that. Now, the time's different for everybody.
Absolutely.
But it takes time.
And sometimes some people never get over it, right? It's just a constant
learn
battle.
from it too. You can't just move on. You got to learn what didn't work and take all the responsibility that's mine. And I continue to this day. I'm trying to think. Something occurred to me the other day. I was like, wow, you should have done that 10 years ago.
Right.
I've been such a jerk. But still growing in that and learning to be a better person all the way around for the next time.
Yeah, almost
Hopefully
like
there's a next time.
exactly.
I want there to be.
There will be a next time. There
But,
will be.
learning from that. It's not just put it to bed and push it away. You do that initially to survive, but you got to learn from it too. Like what didn't work? Because I thought I was a good husband, and I know in many, many ways I was.
Right.
But obviously, nothing's perfect, right? But what even if I was a good husband, what could I have done better?
Absolutely.
And it took me a while to realize that I still could have been better because I know what I was. I know I was good. I was a great provider, and I was pretty loving. I did so many things right, but there was things I didn't do. Doesn't mean I did them wrong. I just didn't do them. Or what could I do even better?
Mm-hmm. Even with the things you were doing, how could you have done
Right.
those even better?
Correct. And so I've done a lot of that self-evaluation over the last year, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm in a much better position for all of those things.
You ready?
But still got to meet the right person.
You're gonna meet someone in film that have the
I
same.
haven't done that.
We're gonna put it out there. You're gonna meet someone in film, and you're gonna build that, and you got someone that's in the same line of work as you.
I don't think so, but you never know. But I also have learned, I think when I was getting at a long way around to that, it's 10 years ago when I got divorced, I wasn't living in Arizona. I would have never thought I would live in Arizona. That's sort of like one level, gosh, I never thought that would happen. I was never an actor growing up, ever. 6 years ago, I started acting. Like I would have never thought that would happen. So I'm very open to what happens potentially next. Like I'd like to continue acting. I'd like to continue to live in Arizona, but guess what? I might not.
Right.
I've come to accept that. As much as I love it, could be something much better for me elsewhere.
It could be.
And I'm open to it. And maybe it wasn't open to like, no, I'm here and this is it. And I love living here. And if it doesn't work, so what? I think I'm much more open to exploring an outside option for the right person, the right opportunity that I wouldn't have. Because if I wouldn't have, I would have never come to Arizona.
Right.
So I have to sort of keep that mode of thinking, like, I don't know what's next. And I can go down another road and it can be just as great or better.
Exactly.
And the acting is sort of a fill the void, and it really was how it began. I was just single and as much had free time, and like, well, I guess I'll do something. And I really thought, women find this exciting. Nobody's ever found it exciting. Interesting for about 30 seconds.
As
so
we
that's
established, no one's found that exciting. Not at all. Speaking from a getting a female's perspective on that, if someone tells you they're an actor, it automatically screams broke.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's me, but
that's true.
But that's true.
Yeah.
I've heard other women say that. Oh, they're artists. They have no money.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you don't know what they have. You don't know what is there underlying all that. And I guess that's my Pollyanna. I see potential in everybody, everything. Yeah. So I'm like, no, that's great. What else do you do?
Yeah, well, that's why I never tell anybody when I act. It always comes last. Never, I still work for a living. So
you still work for a living, and you still work as an actor for a living. That's
Correct.
what people don't understand. It's all work, people.
Yes.
It's all work. It's just what line of work we're in, and you know what?
Exactly.
It keeps us. I think it keeps us young.
Well, it's a hobby as much as anything else too, and like how you fill your time.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you only work, your life would be devoid of lots of things. So you have to do something else with your spouse, without your spouse, by yourself, or what you like to do. And I sort of fell into this, and I really enjoy doing it, so I kept pursuing it. If it ends tomorrow, and I say this hand to God, if it all ended tomorrow, I've done far more than I could have ever envisioned with these last two films. And the fact that I could write Father's Day and win an award for it. How does that happen? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, because that's already a year and a half old, 2 years, whatever. And so 4 years into acting in my entire life. Now, how does that happen? I think of that sometimes, not in an ego way, but like,
no,
I really made that happen. So, like, to me, if nothing else happens, like if I stop tomorrow, I'll be okay with it too. I would like to continue, but if it doesn't, it's like, because you're always chasing
the next one.
Chasing the dream.
Yeah.
It doesn't end. And like, how long do I want to do that versus just enjoy it? And so it's been fun. And if it ends tomorrow, I'll be okay with it. Because I took those steps with Father's Day and Run Rabbit. I took those steps to try to make something happen.
Gotcha.
Because you can wait around forever and hope. And, well, I hope somebody sees this. Well, we took the steps to at least be seen, to sort of get to the front of the line, if you will.
Yeah.
And if nothing else happens, nothing else happens. I'm okay with it. We took a swing. We took a ginormous swing.
Oh my gosh.
Multiple times. We didn't just stand around and hope and wait. No, we went right up there and went toe to toe.
I'm waiting to see your next
Yeah.
project.
Well, we'll be working.
I'm
We got
waiting
a
to
couple
see.
of them out there. So speaking of that, so I've written another film,
Oh,
and Justin is not making it because
okay.
he's writing the next script to follow up the Rabbit. The movies are connected, but the next feature film, he's
Okay.
almost done with that. While he's finishing that, I was working on this other one that we're trying to get finished that I wrote. So it's a little bit more of a not his kind of film.
Again.
But he would still make it better, I'm sure.
Again.
But it's really not his style.
Right.
But it's much more. I'm excited for it, and hopefully we can finish it. We've had some weather issues that have delayed it, but it's a movie. It's called Dead Roads. It's about two brothers. In short, one good, one bad, and thinking that they hate each other or don't like each other, but then they go on this road trip and realize that they're far more alike than they are opposite.
Okay.
They are opposite, but they realize there's a lot more that's similar
Mm-hmm.
that they want to admit to each other, and they admit that to each other. It's a long way. There's a little bit of a twist to it, of course, but
Of course.
to make it more interesting.
Of course.
But that's really the essence of it.
Uh-huh.
Is it's a relationship. It's a relationship between two brothers, and realize that we're not all that different, even though on the surface one's a criminal and one's an upstanding citizen. Okay, we
Right.
grew up in the same household. How does that happen, and why does that happen?
Mm-hmm.
And then why is it that we're far more alike than the other wants to admit? Criminal doesn't want to be a straight arrow. The straight arrow does not want to think of themselves as a criminal. But there's far more similarities than any of us would ever believe there are in those situations. Maybe not in every situation, but
Right.
in this case, you realize, oh, you
That's
see the world like the same
interesting.
way I do. You just took a different path with it.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the essence of the film. We filmed a lot of it already.
Nice.
But then Justin's finishing his next script, which is pretty epic. And we'll hopefully be able to shoot that and film that this summer. Would be the hope.
Awesome.
But he's got to tighten it up.
Okay.
It's going to be a little bit more challenging than Rabbit. But I think
Okay.
with our sale of our film, they will potentially help make this one for us. So that's what we're in those
Fantastic.
negotiations too. So we're
Look
working
at
all that out.
you.
yeah. How'd that happen?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
6 years of acting.
Yeah.
Or 4, 6. I was right,
It's been
6.
about 6, yeah.
About 6. Yeah.
But I-
Mine is 4. Mine is 4.
I would go back to trying to take some control, but it just goes to hard work and keep pushing the envelope and not just
Yeah.
waiting to see what auditions are out there.
Yeah.
Because I've done that too. I want something good to come along. Well, how about we make something?
You know,
Now, it's not that easy.
no.
Justin is a super talent. He's like a Michael Jordan. He's just undiscovered. He really is that talented. He's
Damn.
just undiscovered. He's young.
I got to talk to Justin here.
And,
It's like,
so I was lucky to hook up with him
that's awesome.
and realize that.
That is awesome.
And say, hey, you and I could do some stuff. And we've been able to. But what does that mean? I mean, we're not sitting on
No.
$1 million in
No.
mansions in Bel Air,
Right.
but we're trying to at least build our name. Right now we have. We're in these festivals have led us to bigger names and to more
Right.
connections. And that's really what you have to do is keep working those connections and try to make something happen for yourself because it won't happen otherwise.
And I'm so glad you said that because you saying that just reiterated it in my mind because I've had this conversation with a small group of other actors that are local, and we meet and we constantly again studying so that we're ready for that next role and that kind of thing. And We just said we have to create for us because we are waiting for someone else to create something that is for us when we should just create it. Now, one of us has been in a film festival, film. One is a producer, director, and has been in film. So it's not like in that collective, there's not enough talent. And then have you can market, you know? So it's not like it's unheard of. So that, you know.
No, I'd say the bigger challenge here is getting everyone on the same page. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Or the challenge. But the challenge, right? And the more people involved, the bigger the page has to be.
Right.
In our case, it's me and Justin, and I brought in Greg. So like there is three of us, but it's really Justin and I.
Mm-hmm.
And we're on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
But if we brought more people into the fray,
oh my gosh,
it just makes it more challenging to coordinate schedules and thought processes.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And I'll say this too. So Justin's a young guy. He went to film school, and then right after that, we did Red Velvet Evening, and I could tell right away he had talent. Like, and that was Red Velvet's first thing he ever did. Like, but I could tell he just sees visually different. He sees it different. He's super talented, and but not everybody's that. But he's young, so like when we're on Rabbit, and then you know most of the actors in the film are 40 plus, just the nature of the roles, and like are they going to take direction from this kid that they've never seen anything he's done, and I have a lot to say throughout the film as we're making it, but I always deferred to him in front of everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So they always knew he was in charge. He's a real creative, not great at like standing in front of the room and saying, "Hey, I'm in charge." He would never do that. He doesn't have that gene.
Right.
I have no problem doing that. So I would always do that, and then they would say, "Well, Justin, we need to do this," and I was like the line in between.
Mm-hmm.
And he would say, "Nope, we're not doing it." And I'd say, "No, we're not doing it." So I always deferred to him so they know he's in charge. Somebody has to be in charge.
Right.
I was the de facto to him, so he didn't have to be the bad guy.
Right.
But and unfortunately, someone has to be the bad guy, if you will.
Right.
It's not really bad, but somebody has to be the strong voice to say, "No, this is what we're doing." Doesn't mean we wouldn't listen, and we always did, but somebody at some point has to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, the director's got to make the decision. It's his script too. It's
right.
Like he knows better than you. Well, my character wouldn't do this. I wrote it. I think he would.
Right.
You know, and sometimes you listen, and certainly we took a lot of good ideas and they changed. But I always deferred to him, so everybody knows that. Now, not everybody would do that.
No.
But that's why we don't fight, because I know I can even touch what he's doing creatively, and I know that, and I'm not threatened by it,
It's a mutual
and I don't
respect.
care about it.
Yeah. It's a mutual respect.
Boom, you do it, and I'll give you my. Because we used to joke, because I wrote Father's Day, and he was when he ended up making it, and I would say, "Justin, I want to do this," and he'd go, "No." I said, "But I wrote it." He goes, "We're not doing it." All right. He always knew better, and he always did.
And creatively, he does.
You know, but instead of arguing and fighting about it, I would say, "I want to do this." He'd go, "No, it doesn't work." And I would say, "Okay."
Okay.
So that was our running joke, is that I bring all these ideas forward. He always says no. Once in a while, he says yes. But he does know better. But if I don't believe that,
Right.
and all I'm saying is, like, the more people you get in the group, the more of those things can manifest themselves. If you don't have, we're fortunate to have that relationship to say yes, no.
Right.
And I'm not hurt by it.
Mm-hmm. Personal
I'm not-
feelings out of it.
Yeah. And that's a hard thing to do.
It is.
It can be.
It
And so
is.
the more people you bring in, the harder it is to do.
Yes.
And so everybody had to go through me to get to him. That's how I set it up. So that, all right, you tell me the ideas, I'll pitch it to him. Because that way they don't have to pitch it to him, and
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't have to deal with them.
Right.
This way. And then, but if we don't have that relationship, because I've worked with plenty of directors, and they don't care at all what I have to say, and that's fine too.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't have that relationship, the rest of the crew wouldn't view it that way. The rest of the cast, you know, they're all going to be attacking or fighting or thinking. And it's like, nope. And I had always set that up every time. I said, he's Michael Jordan. I said that every time we would shoot. What he says goes. Trust him, what he's doing. He knows better than you.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that every day we shot. He knows better than every one of us, myself included. So you will trust what he does. If you don't like it, come talk to me. And we'll discuss it if we need to, but he knows better, believe. Because he's just as visually, he was a photographer, and he just has an eye that people do not. He'll put the camera, in the corner or up behind your head, and you think, well, how that doesn't work. Sometimes as an actor, because you want to know, and you had to just trust what
the
he's
process.
doing. And then in the end, when you see it, it's like, oh my goodness, yes.
That is amazing.
But most people will come out of film school like, okay, this shot, you have two people here, then focus on the one, then focus on the other, then take a wide. He studied all that way, took that book and threw it in the trash, only because he can.
Yeah.
Some people cannot.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just shoots it. He looks at it differently, and there's all these, well, you have to come this way, and then, that way to shoot it this way, so it looks like he throws all of that out, and so much of it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it did when you're using a cinescope camera in 1932, but not nowadays.
Right.
But people get tied into that.
No.
And thinking that, well, no, we have to do it. No, you don't.
Mm-mm. It's the framework.
None of it's traditional.
No.
None of it's experimental. It's not an experiment. We don't shoot experimental film. You saw Father's Day.
Yes.
But, there's scenes where the camera's behind my head, and I remember you saying,
Yeah.
Justin, that doesn't work. Trust me. You have to
try.
Somebody that's got that vision, you have to just believe in them. But the more people you get in the mix,
yes,
can make it much more difficult.
And believe me,
that's really what it is.
And
that's the hard part. But it's great
is.
if you have a collective of people that can make something happen. Great. But then get them all on the same page.
Yep.
And then get everybody's schedules to
on the
coordinate.
Oh my God.
Then you have a chance. That's the bigger challenge, right?
That's already a challenge.
Yeah. But then you have to have a good script.
Right.
And that's not easy. Because, yes, you can have 20 talented people. Doesn't make... they just made that movie... I forget the name of it. It starred Margot Robbie. And there's like 1,000 A-list stars, and it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's like set in the 20s.
Oh,
they show the
yes,
commercials forever.
yes.
I can't think of the name of it.
I-
but every A-list actor in the world's in that movie, and it's a bomb. That can happen, right?
It can.
Yeah, just because you have a good... I don't even know if the script's good, but even if the script is good, doesn't mean the movie will be good. It's hard to make it all good.
Mm-hmm.
You got to start with something.
Yeah.
And so those are the challenges. But yeah, if you can make it yourself, you give yourself a little bit of control.
Yeah.
To at least, on my end, it was more the post control. Like I wanted to. People would tell me, "Oh, well, we've submitted to festival." Like, I was always dubious. Like, did you? I mean, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But like, then we'd never hear anything. So nobody wanted it. Like, so in this case, I was like, I know I'm gonna do it, and I know it'll be done.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked. Now, could it have worked in other ways? I don't know. For those other films, I don't know what they did or didn't do.
Who knows? You just can speak to what you did.
Yeah, but
yeah,
it's been a lot. It's been a tremendous couple of years, even with the pandemic.
Yeah.
From a film perspective, we filmed throughout all these pandemics, all these things. So
yes, you did.
It affect us in that regard.
And you've been staying healthy and
yeah.
well. And
I never contracted COVID.
No.
I know plenty of people that did, but I never did. I never got sick.
Mm-hmm.
So, knock on wood. But yeah, we some of the festivals that first year of Father's Day were limited because of the pandemic.
Right.
Some of them went online, which is a waste of time. And,
that's the hard one.
when you played at the Chinese theater, you had to wear masks, which is dramatic, but there was some distancing issues. It was until the fun part of that story is, so we're playing at the Chinese theater. It was a multi-day festival, I think for a whole week. But the day our film played was the day they were giving Daniel Craig his star on Hollywood Boulevard, right in front of the Chinese theater as his star. So we show up that day, and the place is crawling with people. All this excitement. We're like, wow, this is going to be awesome.
Right.
They're all there to see Daniel Craig.
It's Daniel Craig, and that had nothing to do with you.
Hey, we take all this.
That's right. We were there.
I'll tell you what, our movie played there that day, and the place was packed.
That's right.
Now, we might have been there to see Daniel Craig, maybe. But it was a fun...
We were there.
It's fun timing. And, those stars are all over Hollywood. His was actually right in front of the theater there. So
there you go.
It was pretty cool experience. And there was no social distancing going on that.
Of course not. Of course not.
But it was, that was, great moments. If you're an actor, you want great moments. We've had some, even when we had our cast premiere, like we told everyone, we're going to put it in a theater, high quality theater, so you invite all your family and friends before anything happens to it, and you get that experience to see it. That doesn't always happen, even
No.
in projects. Sometimes we don't even see them at all, let alone in a theater.
Exactly.
So we paid for the theater and had this tremendous premiere last year in April, and so that we could, everybody that was in it, no matter what, they saw the film in the theater.
That's awesome.
And because that doesn't always happen.
No.
We thought we would get in festivals, but it doesn't mean they would go. We didn't expect our cast to travel. They did play in Tucson, so they could and here, so they had those options. But that was later on. We didn't know. We promised everybody a chance to see it on the big screen.
It's awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
That is-
And it's a dark film with sort of a fun ending in a dark, twisted way.
I
So-
can't wait till it starts streaming.
We will.
So definitely keep us posted
I will
on
let
that
you
one. Because I am all about the dark, sinister, and suspenseful thriller.
Well, anybody can follow it. There's a Facebook page, Run Rabbit. I don't know if there should be the only Run Rabbit Facebook page. I don't know if there is more.
Okay, well, I'll
But
connect
there's a
it.
Facebook page there. We list all of our festivals and everything else
Awesome.
that's happening there. And the IMDb page is up. So
Perfect. And
it's the best way to keep track of it.
And I will put it all in the note box so that we have it, so that we can all watch Run Rabbit and be scared.
It's really not a scary film.
No.
It's more of a thrill.
It's a thriller. It's a
It really is a
thriller.
thriller.
Keep
It's called
her-
a dark thriller.
A dark thriller. There
Yes.
we go. It's a dark thriller.
But very thoughtful. There's a lot of dialogue. It's a very thoughtful film.
Awesome.
You gotta pay attention. It's not a.
I like
It's not a
this.
just eat popcorn and watch explosions and it's a very thoughtful film.
Oh,
Just dark.
yeah. I
And it's
think
very thoughtful.
my husband might even like that. And he's not that kind of person, so he might watch it. He likes thought.
Yeah.
Movies that make him think. And
This movie will make you think.
so that's
On the
definitely
surface, when you say it's about a pedophile killing, or about a vigilante killing pedophiles, it sounds very, simplistic.
Mhm.
It's much
Punisher
deeper
as-
than that. Otherwise, I'll give too much of it
Right,
away. There's a
right.
lot of twists and
It's
turns
turns
to
in
it,
there.
but that's the simplistic part of it, is what's happening. But it's more of why, and as I'm chasing him, what happens.
what happens during those chases.
And what's uncovered and all of those things. So but it's very intricate and thoughtful. And if you don't pay attention, I said that when we go to these festivals, sometimes they let you introduce it at the end, and then we do Q&A at the end. When I introduce it, I always say, gotta pay attention at the beginning. And then the payoff is outstanding. And if you don't pay attention, it'll be okay, but you won't get the full punch.
Right.
So
I like that. I like that.
because it was written like a stage play, even though it's not. It's
Right.
written but he wrote it so he could make it.
right.
It's just thoughtful writing.
I would say so.
A couple of people in each scene with heavy dialogue, and that way all of the scenes are longer,
Mhm.
but it was easier to film that way.
Nice.
So.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. But I also, I bought you a little gift.
Well, thank you.
It's body moisturizer.
Oh,
It's
great.
not fancy. It's all holistic, vegan.
Wonderful.
I know you're out.
My hands were just cracking this morning. I put some lotion on for this dry winter air. So that's wonderful. Thank
While
you.
you're out running and things, let's heal the skin up, keep it wonderful. So thank you so much for actually reaching out again. Like I said, I appreciate you so much, and I always enjoy our conversations.
Me too.
I really do.
I really appreciate your podcast and all the different types of discussions you have that are much more humanistic and not just silly like a lot of podcasts, but really a chance for people to hear other people's perspectives and
Yeah.
life's challenges and stories that is much more meaningful and deeper than
Yeah.
just a simplistic podcast and fun, which there's a place for that too.
There
but
is.
That's what I appreciate about yours.
Yeah.
So,
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. And definitely keep me posted. I know I have your number.
sure.
I found it and I was so proud of myself. I was like, I have his number. Why are we on Facebook? I don't understand.
The only reason is because I still had your number, but you'd moved. I didn't know if it might have changed. So before I texted somebody,
some random person,
I was like, I know this is her on Facebook. I'll send her a message. That was why. But I didn't know if that was why. I wasn't sure if it might have changed, and then I'd be texting, who knows who, and who knows where that catfish rabbit hole would have taken me.
Right. But I was just impressed with myself that I did have it in I was like, I do. All right. So I will definitely keep in touch better. I think we do well. I think so. So definitely.
I've only had one thing going on.
I know.
And there wasn't a place for you. We might have been more in touch, but I've been solely focused.
You've been focused. It's okay.
So the next one might. As I've seen the script, the next one could very well have a place for you.
Well, you know where to find me.
I do.
I am in Tucson, and as you can see, I travel.
Yeah, sure.
I think I've been in Phoenix and Chandler and Gilbert more than I was when I was living here. Honestly, yeah. I think every month that I've been in Tucson, I'm coming back up here. So, which I'm not opposed to. I'm a traveler. I love driving, so definitely keep me in mind.
For sure.
Because I'm always down to be a part of that creative process, especially one that is structured.
Well, I can assure you that our films, something will happen to them.
All right.
We know that.
We make
sure something will happen.
Because Chris has this great manifestation ability that is freaking outstanding. That your belief is like amazing, and I love it. I'm just going to take that and I am going to run with it because that is my thing. Believing in me more.
There you go.
And what I am able to do. And
that
trusting
should be for all of us.
Right?
Yeah.
And trusting the process.
Yes.
And being willing to work for that process.
100%.
Because it's not going to come just because we want it and we think we deserve it.
Even if we do deserve it.
Even if we do deserve it, it's not going to come just because of who we are.
Yes.
So I think that's the big takeaway of our conversation today is that even though it's something you're passionate about, you still have to do a level of work for it and follow through for it, and be willing to take those no's and turn them into your next opportunity instead of crashing and folding. Right? So thank you again. I hope you enjoy the body butter. And the small one is for your beard.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
Enjoy. I made it personally.
Well, thank you.
Always great to catch up with Chris. I swear it's always a great conversation, and it's always good to see what each other is doing in the industry. Being creatives, we get sucked into our own little bubble of trying to create and bring our dreams into fruition. So it's nice to catch up with one another, kind of take a breather, like that little coffee break with one another, and just say, hey, how you doing? What you been up to? So it was that kind of conversation today. And so thank you so much, Chris, again, for spending time. And I hope you enjoy your gift. Let me know how you like it. In case you guys are wondering, he is trying Divine Nubian Essentials Beard Balm and also skincare moisturizer from our men's line, our gentleman's line. So I'm very curious to see how he likes it. And also, I am looking forward to see Run Rabbit because it is just my kind of movie. Thriller, suspenseful, with a little bit of action. But I do like a lot of action, but that's a little bit of action. I'll take it. So thank you again. And I know I'll be looking forward to working with Chris soon. I know we got some things that we are partnered with in some way, I think. We'll learn about that as we go along, and I'll share with you guys as we go along. But as Chris said, we never know where we'll turn up and be on a project together, and I always look forward to that, getting to see our creatives in the same space. It's always a blast. So thank you again, and thank you guys for joining us and taking the time out to hear what Run Rabbit was about and to hear what Chris is about with his screenplay. Excuse me, I can't even talk right now. His screenplay, Father's Day, and how well that was doing. And hopefully we're going to see that as a feature film, because I'm telling you guys, that concept is amazing. I saw the screening of it when it came out, and I was like, that is a good movie. I'm waiting for the rest of it. So I look forward to seeing what happens with that. So with that, I'm going to say, take care of each other. Check in on those friends that say that they're good. And you know what? Just be your best self. That's all we can do. Do your best. So at that, I'm going to say, until we meet again, namaste.